But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Let me tell you about my great God.
Hey guys, Pastor Tim here. Hope you guys are doing great. We are on 1 Samuel chapter 14 today. If you haven't read it yet, by all means pause the video, read through it a couple times. It's a little longer chapter, all right, but at least try to get through it twice. Just read through things multiple times. It kind of helps us maybe solidify what we're thinking. Maybe things that didn't stick out to us the first time will stick out to us again, and will just help clarify the picture of everything that's just going on. So it's just always a good practice to get into, reading more than once and then jotting things down and then connecting the dots, so to speak, and circling one main thing like we always say. And let me just reiterate, guys, as we go through this devotional process, that you know what, everything doesn't have to make coherent sense when you're jotting them down right then and there, but always try to read through it a couple times. Try to see, all right, what's something that this passage shows me about God, or what's something this passage shows me about man, or both. All right, and those things could be your main thing you get out of this chapter today. Or if you're just left with questions, by all means, that is okay, guys. Questions are all right. In fact, if you have questions, ask your accountability those questions. With that said, let's get right into the overview of the chapter. Oh man, like I said, it's a long chapter, and a lot of things are happening in this chapter, and it all really deals with pride. So if there's one main thing just at the offset here that I want to get out of this chapter, or that stood out to me, it was just the continuing growth of pride in Saul's life, and just all the things that it just affects, and it just makes things go wrong, and just how it affects his rule, his family, his kingdom. And guys, I hope that's something that you come to realize as well, is that your sin does not affect just you. All right? Don't think, well, as long as nobody else knows about it, it's just me, it's fine. No, your sin, you will reap what you sow, and it affects those people around you as well. And Saul, we're going to see it affects his kingdom, affects his army, affects his family. Sin isn't just an isolated thing. Yes, you may be the one that commits it, but it has an impact on those around you as well. So we see here, because of Saul's pride, Jonathan, he has this great victory. He goes out with his armor bearer. They slay a garrison of the Philistines, and it causes this great commotion amongst the army of the Philistines, in which they're confused, and some of them are slaying one another. It's kind of unclear. God might have sent an earthquake as well during Jonathan's initial strike against the Philistines. So God allows, because of Jonathan's faith, and he wants to do something for the Lord, he allows Jonathan to have this great victory. And Saul the whole time is just sitting underneath the tree, kind of minding his own business. He's not acting very keenly. He's resting on his laurels. He's just taking it easy. And his son Jonathan actually has to take the advantage and go ahead and seek victory against the enemy. And so the first incident we see here with Saul, an elevation of pride, so to speak, is that, all right, when Saul starts to see that the Philistines are discomforted and they're in disarray, he's like, all right, well, this isn't a prime opportunity for us to go out and slay them. He makes a very foolish vow. He says unto the people, hey, none of you are allowed to eat for the rest of this day. Let there not be one person that eats of anything. This isn't of the Lord. This isn't wise, all right, because why would he send his men out to do this strenuous thing as battle and tell them not to nourish themselves with any food? It's a very foolish vow to make, but he feels as if he's just, I'm the king, anything I says goes, that he makes this vow, not thinking about how foolish it was, not thinking about the impact it would have on his army as they begin to tire and grow famished in this long day of battle. Jonathan doesn't hear about this, okay, and he's tired because he just slew about 20 men himself, and he's hungry, and so he eats some honey, and his men are like, hey, your dad, you may not have heard this, but your dad said nobody's allowed to eat anything for this whole day. And Jonathan's like, well, that's a foolish vow. That's a dumb thing to do. Obviously, his dad wasn't there when he said that, but he's like, that's a foolish thing to say. That's dumb. And the men were like, all right, well, let's follow Jonathan's example. Jonathan's like, hey, look at me. I'm healthier now. I feel revitalized. But this led the men to not only eat of the spoils of the enemy, but they ate also the blood of the enemy of the animals as well, which was against the law of God. You were not to eat of the blood, for the life is in the blood. All right. So when they slew the animals, it's pretty much saying when they slew the animals, they weren't cooking them in essence. Now Saul sees this happens, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I don't want the people to sin against God like that. So he starts to sacrifice some animals, and he starts to give that to his men for the spoils as well. So now they get to the point where Saul has his army together. They're gonna go and attack the Philistines, maybe the last hurrah, and just wipe them out completely. But he inquires of the Lord. He asks the priest to inquire of the Lord whether or not to go out into battle, and God does not answer him. Now we know from previous chapters that God does not answer him because Saul's heart is not right with the Lord. Remember, he broke God's commandment. He's taken things upon himself, not going to God, and God has already removed the kingdom from him, and he's given it to David, as we're going to find out later. So Saul's not getting an answer from God. This causes him to think, well, somebody sinned against God. All right, who committed this sin? And they draw lots, and it comes down between him and his son Jonathan, and the lot falls on Jonathan. Now the thing is Jonathan did not sin against God. He only broke Saul's foolish vow in the first place. The thing he made in his pride, in his arrogance, something that never should have happened. And Saul was going to kill Jonathan for this. All right, because not that he sinned against God, but because he broke the vow he made as king, as an earthly king. All right, you see the rise of arrogance, you see the rise of pride during this whole thing. And thankfully, the people came to, all right, and were like, no, this is foolish. Why would we kill Jonathan? He just got us this great victory. He's the one that started this whole victorious battle against the Philistines. No, we're not going to kill Jonathan. And it's almost like that mob mentality where they sway Saul from, all right, fine, I won't do it. All right, but I'm pretty sure Saul was not happy about that. Maybe he felt humiliated that his authority as king was being rejected for the sake of his son. All that to say, we get finally to the end of the chapter. And I'm sorry, guys, this video is a little longer than usual, but there's a lot of stuff happening. So we get to the end of the chapter, and it just talks about all the battles Saul is fighting. He fights the Philistines for his whole entire reign. He's fighting the Ammonites, the Amalekites. He's fighting a lot of people. The people of Moab. I don't know why I messed that up. So he's very much always in turmoil, always in battle. But then the chapter ends with the fact that, he's always looking for valiant men to add to his army. So every time he saw a man or a young man that seemed strong, seemed valiant, like someone who could be a good soldier, it didn't bother him in any way to say, you know what, all right, that guy, take him, he's going to be part of the army. Remember, that's something that Samuel warned the children of Israel that the king would do. If you guys want a king to rule over you instead of God, the king's going to be nothing but a taker. He's going to take your sons to be in his army. He's going to take your daughters to be in his maids and his cooks and so forth. He's going to take from the people, unlike God, who is blessing and giving unto you. And we see that here with Saul. It started as his pride grows, as his arrogance grows. He wants to build up his army, build up his own prestige, his own reputation. All those things are going out the window. He doesn't care if he's breaking the commandments of the Lord. He doesn't care if he's doing those things which Samuel warned the children of Israel that a king would do. He's just doing whatever he wants to do. That's it for today, guys. No, it was a little longer, but just a lot of stuff to cover there. But we just see the effect Saul's pride and arrogance is having on all the different facets of his life. And guys, understand, your sin, whether it's pride or something else, has a great impact on more than just you. It has an impact on people around you as well. Hope you guys stay safe and healthy today. Tell somebody what you learned or read about today in God's Word. Have a good day.